Now, that issue was raised in the last election cycle, and the opposition National Democratic Congress accused the ruling New National Party of essentially chartering flights from parts of the diaspora with voters, flights, a plane load of voters, if you will, to come to Grenada to vote. Now, talk to us about the voting rules for Grenadians who are resident abroad. Now, I know that uh, the Electoral Act in Grenada stipulates who can vote, meaning you have to be constantly resident and domiciled in Grenada for a period of time. How are you ensuring or enforcing that particular stipulation to ensure that the people who are in fact voting are domiciled and resident in Grenada as they should be?
All right, good. So, Dr. Bob, the Act makes provision for a Grenadian. You can reside out of state for 5 years, all right? And after 5 years, of course, and I will speak to that process as well, where we have some challenges. So, a Grenadian who has been out of Grenada for above 5 years should be removed from the list, right? For the Commonwealth citizens is a year, okay? So just to address the issue that you raised earlier, for instance, someone can come, a Grenadian can come, right, at any time, so the whole meter what person is about plane load of people coming. Any Grenadian from which part of the diaspora can choose to come back to Grenada to vote. Now, what you have to bear in mind is this. The first measure, you have to be duly registered, meaning that you must be on the voters list, because you're a Grenadian. Now, you also have to, if you're not on the list, you can't be participating in the process. So if someone returned to Grenada, right, and especially if they hold a valid, let's suppose they may not be in Grenada for maybe the last few years, but of course they hold a valid, and in that case, well, maybe most of them, the ID might be expired, right? But at the same time, when you have that, you come in and you check the list and you make sure that you're on the list, you are due to register. It doesn't matter which part of the world that Grenadian is. Once you're on the list, you're entitled to participate in the process. To get on the list, you have to be here in person. So for example, no one can stay in the diaspora, wherever you are, and get registered, right? You have to be in person, and you come in, and of course, you would bring your documents, basic documents in terms of the your birth certificate, official birth certificate, or a valid passport in this regard, or for persons who maybe attain the citizenship through and just have a certificate, it can be used as well. So that really is what the crux of the matter is. So you cannot deny anybody. Once that person is duly registered, it doesn't matter whether they just come from the plane or not. Once they're duly registered, that's the most important fact.
Once they're duly registered. So explain to me then that residency requirement.
Good. So the residency requirement, Dr. Bob, is more or less is tied to the issue of we apply it in terms of Commonwealth citizens because you have to be here. How do we validate that you are here? Because you must, a Commonwealth must be here, residing here for at least a year, right? That's from the time you enter the office to register. So what happens is that person, you can use a birth certificate or you can use your passport of wherever Commonwealth country you belong. What you have to also do is to take an oath, right? There's an oath that you must take. There is a form that we apply to it, and then you have to sign by a GP, right? Saying that person is of course virgin for the fact that you have been there for a year, at least a year to be registered. So that's how the process is.